Indeed. Great to have your company. See you next time on The Chase Australia.
Tonight on 7 News, border shock. Queensland could stay closed past September, despite the advice of one of the nation's top doctors.
Students to restart Term 2 when school resumes next week, plus the Rapid Response Squad expecting COVID in the classroom.
Not one but two fines. Could the hero whale rescuer be hit with 2 penalties?
No policing of social distancing on public transport as workers return to the office.
The Lord Mayor joins the push for a Friday Ekka public holiday, the parts of the show that will still go on.
And the big holiday deals aiming to get Queenslanders out on the road.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Sharyn, Ghidella and Max Futcher.
Good evening. The future of Queensland tourism and travel has been dealt another blow, with the state's chief health officer predicting the border closure may extend beyond September.
It's a devastating prospect for operators hoping for a mid-year opening, and according to one leading doctor, it's completely unnecessary.
From the Cape to Coolangatta, the hopes of tourism rest on one thing.
We absolutely need those borders to open.
But for the industry, it's looking like a long winter, with Queensland's isolation likely to last months as borders stay closed.
I can't even commit that September will be possible. It depends what happens between now and then.
The government's own roadmap forecast July, subject to review. Then the Premier predicted September. Now our Chief Health Officer says don't even count on that.
I would love to give everyone certainty. I'd love to have it myself, but we can't.
We've got to protect Queenslanders, and they're all Queenslanders as well, and their health is my number one priority.
We're not calling for the borders to be open today. What we're calling on the government to do is stick by what they've told tourism businesses and Queenslanders and stick to July.
A review will be done at the end of the month based on interstate infection rates, but one of the nation's top doctors says there's no need.
From a medical point of view, I can't see why the borders are still closed.
The border battle raging across country. New South Wales pushing to end the travel blockade.
It will hinder the nation. It will hinder our national economic growth and activity. There's no doubt about that.
New South Wales had the Ruby Princess. I mean, seriously? And they're trying to give us advice?
We're making our own decisions in South Australia.
The travel bans continue to be crippling for tourism in Queensland, and industry leaders and operators say the stress is being exacerbated by the uncertainty over when things will change.
Our industry has to plan, and our industry has to be ready to do what is allowable, and we have to be subject to consistent advice.
Advice that for now says we're closed. Earlier in the week, the Chief Health Officer said she would want to see 1 month of no new cases in a state before considering opening a border. Today, she clarified that that means no new community transmission cases, but still no easy feat, evidenced by the fact that overnight we did have 1 new case here in Queensland. She is a woman who has recently returned from India, but that was 2 months ago, so as yet it is not clear exactly where she picked up this virus, and it all goes to show just how many risks are still out there and what the government has to consider when they think about reopening borders.
Thank you, Joel. There's outrage tonight from Hannah Clark's family over a Senate inquiry into domestic violence. Marlena Watt, the inquiry has been labelled appalling.
Yes, Max, the Parliamentary Committee has finished its report 3 months early without taking a single submission or holding any public hearings. The inquiry was set up after Hannah Clark and her 3 children were murdered in Camp Hill. The Senate committee said that conducting another lengthy and broad-ranging inquiry during this time would be of limited value and draw resources away from services. But the Small Steps for Hannah Foundation says the family believes it's a missed opportunity.
This was a chance, another catalyst for action, and clearly it has not been that. To have an inquiry pulled so quickly, only 3 months into the process, so pulled 3 months early, has been incredibly disappointing.
The family wants the inquiry to reopen, as does the Law Council of Australia.
Thanks, Marlena. A hero boatie who freed a whale from shark nets on the Gold Coast could receive more than one fine from the Fisheries Department. His actions have reignited the shark net debate.
Looking and sounding like a Bond movie, a quick-thinking boatie races to untangle a young whale from shark nets at Burleigh. Documentary makers capturing the lengths he went to, celebrating as the whale swims free.
They're a waste of time. I've dived my whole life and sharks will just swim around them.
But today SeaWorld labelled his actions as extremely dangerous and said they should only be undertaken by those with appropriate training and skills.
The earliest entanglement in the last 60 years.
Django could face a maximum penalty of $22,000 for coming within 100 metres of a whale.
There's also a further fine if you touch the animal.
Lawyers are confident he has a defence.
Where you see an animal in distress and possibly drowning, one might argue that that was a reasonable excuse.
A GoFundMe page has raised more than $10,000.
The community's behind this 100%.
But surfers and beachgoers are divided over whether nets are necessary.
Gives the kids a bit of a feeling of safety. They seem to be more hazardous than anything.
According to conservationists, around 1/3 of species caught in nets across Queensland aren't sharks, and every year up to 10 whales are caught. The majority of those here on the Gold Coast.
Those nets are just a fishing device and they are indiscriminate killers.
A problem with no clear solution. Isabel Mullen, 7 News. Mystery and confusion surrounds the disappearance of an experienced bodyboarder on the Gold Coast. Carly Madsen, police are focusing their search around the Spit.
Yes, Sharyn, they believe a man spotted on one of the volunteer marine rescue cameras paddling out into the seaway in a pair of jeans around 10:15 on Saturday morning may have been missing surfer Jared Treacher. His vehicle was found in the car park, but his friends say this is out of character. It was parked in a different location from usual and he'd normally wear a wetsuit and surf with others.
It is hard to believe, to be honest. This is his backyard, you know what I mean? So he's an amazing bodyboarder.
The search will resume in the morning.
Thank you, Carly. Grade 2s to 10s will join their peers returning to their classrooms next Monday. But despite weeks of online learning, Term 2 will essentially restart with the Rapid Action COVID Squad on standby to manage any school outbreaks.
Pick-up time at Stretton State College has been fine-tuned over a fortnight.
In your hot Miami, nice and quick.
Parents drive in with children's details on the dash.
We've got Ethan in Prep A.
Staff with 2 ways pass on the message.
Prep G, Sophia.
Keeping mums and dads in their cars. Any walk-ins must spread out safely.
Every day we come, there's a new change, there's an adaptation to make things easier.
The other side of the gates is where social distancing stops. But our schools are ready for a COVID case in the classroom.
We hope that it's if. I think we're prepared for when.
When a case is confirmed, that school would be closed for 2 days, deep cleaned.
And the contact tracing will be done by the Department of Health and the family.
A rapid response team is standing by to manage outbreaks, the same squad sent to manage the Rockhampton nursing home case.
Health and safety must come first.
In Curriculum 2, the first lessons for most students will focus on health and hygiene, with Term 2 essentially restarting, ensuring everyone's on the same page.
Monday, May 25th will be day 1, week 1.
We all know nothing beats face-to-face learning.
Once all other grades return, the attendance rate is expected to be just below the average, around 85%, as some children, particularly those with immunodeficiencies, are safer at home.
So any staff and students who are unwell must not attend school.
Tom Hartley, 7 News.
The man accused of murdering his parents at a Joiner home will arrive in Queensland tonight. It comes as police renew their appeal for anyone in the vicinity of Todd's and Gordon Crossing roads between 3 and 6:30 on Saturday night to come forward. 31-year-old Christopher Puglia was extradited from New South Wales and is expected to face Pine River's Magistrates Court tomorrow. America has praised Australia for leading the charge in establishing an inquiry into COVID-19 just hours after China ridiculed our role. And as our government welcomes that praise, it's declared it's time to celebrate with fewer Australians at risk of contracting the virus.
Just weeks ago, ventilators were in critically short supply. Now, and abundance.
They're cause for celebration.
7,500 in our hospitals and just 7 Australian patients needing them.
It's a cause to recognise that fewer and fewer Australians are at risk.
As China warns Australia has no cause to celebrate its role in securing global agreement on a coronavirus inquiry.
The final resolution is entirely different from what Australia called an independent international review.
After China's ambassador Chong Jing-yi labelled Australia's claimed victory a joke, US Ambassador Arthur Culverhouse weighed in, commending the government's role. When Australia speaks, the world listens. The Chinese government-linked Global Times saying, listen to this, labelling Australia a giant kangaroo that acts as the dog of the US. With storm clouds gathering on trade, tomorrow the government will release its technology roadmap, aimed at producing cheaper energy to revive our domestic manufacturing base and ease our reliance on Chinese trade.
I do sense a groundswell of community support for Australian-made products.
Encouraging investment in gas as a low-cost transitional fuel and hydrogen as a future source of the cheap electricity needed to put the Australian back in Australian-made. Mark Riley, 7 News.
One of the 5 men who suffered burns in the underground explosion at a central Queensland coal mine a fortnight ago has been released from hospital in Brisbane. 44-year-old Turi Wiki is said to be doing well and is pleased to see his wife and children again. 4 other miners are still listed as critical at the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital.
It'll be up to commuters to ensure they socially distance themselves on public transport from next week. There'll be no staggered seating and nothing to prevent trains from being at full capacity when school returns.
It's the message we're being told is the road out.
Observe some social distancing.
Practice their social distancing.
Just keep the social distancing.
But keeping 1.5 metres apart is nearly impossible on a packed train or bus.
They're sitting right beside each other. Like, I'm in one seat, they're just there.
Next week, commuters can expect extra safety messaging, but no staggered seating, no social distancing policy.
We are in close contact with other people, and generally that's a bad thing with viruses.
The advice still is nationally to avoid public transport during peak times if you don't socially distance.
Instead, the state government will rely on employers letting staff start at different times.
That'll be helpful to spread the morning and afternoon peaks.
On buses, there'll still be no cash handling. Passengers will also continue to hop on through the rear door.
With public transport, the doors are opening, the windows might be open, so you are getting some natural ventilation in. So potentially it might be less of a risk.
If a bus or a train is full and you can't leave a gap between yourself and another passenger, the best advice is to wait for another one.
If there's any risk there in terms of a crowd forming and social distancing not being possible, to apply your common sense.
Jessica Mummy, 7 News.
The Palaszczuk government has abandoned new laws allowing prisoners out early due to COVID-19, only hours after they were introduced into Parliament. The Premier fending off LNP claims that Labor was caught out going soft on criminals.
A dangerous police chase ends brutally on the Gold Coast, sparking community outrage last week when courts issued a lighter sentence because of harsh COVID jail conditions. Now there's more fury after Labor yesterday introduced
Justice and Other Legislation COVID-19 Emergency Response Amendment Bill,
allowing prisoners to be released on parole up to 7 days early to assure them of transport home during the pandemic.
I commend the bill to the House.
But by this morning,
we've taken the decision not to go ahead with it.
It's because they were caught out.
So what changed overnight?
It's not a priority. It's not a priority. It's not a priority.
Before admitting...
Well, it's been misinterpreted, so it's not a priority.
So who misinterpreted?
The department put it up as a proposal and it sounded fair in the light of the COVID situation.
But did Cabinet approve the bill?
Yes, it did.
The Palaszczuk Cabinet are obviously sleepwalking through this crisis.
Labor says the bill aimed to ensure that prisoners weren't left homeless. But the Premier was forced to deny LNP claims. The backdown showed she was scared about being seen as soft.
No, look, we just decided it's not a priority, OK? Any other questions?
Like, what a shambles.
Over a law stopped in its tracks. Patrick Lyons, 7 News.
Brisbane health workers are being asked to take part in an Australian-first trial which will determine whether a controversial anti-malaria drug prevents COVID-19. Donald Trump says he's already taking the medication, sparking a war of words.
Hydroxychloroquine, a drug first clinically used more than half a century ago, now in the headlines.
I happen to be taking it. The
US president soon to be joined by hundreds of our frontline health workers. The anti-malaria medication about to be trialled as a COVID-19 prevention for the first time.
We really don't know whether it's going to work in people.
COVID Shield will be conducted at 14 hospitals across the country, including the Mater Hospital here in Brisbane. More than 2,000 participants will be enrolled. Half will be given hydroxychloroquine, the other half will receive a placebo tablet, both for 4 months.
We're well aware of some of the complications that it can cause, so we wouldn't give it to people who have got significant heart disease or heart rhythm abnormalities, abnormal heartbeats.
A drug causing controversy across the globe.
I would rather he not be taking something that has not been approved, especially in his age group and in his, shall we say, weight group, what is morbidly obese.
Pelosi is a sick woman. She's got a lot of problems, a lot of mental problems.
Meanwhile, scientists around the world have also been working to create a COVID vaccine, including here at the University of Queensland, where the team remains in the preclinical stage of the development process. The next step, human trials, hopefully not too far away. Emily Arnold, 7 News.
Now to the weather, and Tony, rain is falling right across Queensland.
Yes, it is, Sharyn. Some heavy falls up in the tropics over the past couple of days, where one spot near Innisfail recorded over 250 millimetres in that period. Otherwise, we've seen lighter but widespread totals over Western Queensland, also developing in the southeast, with a few spots pushing over 10 millimetres in the past day. Moving ahead, more rain is on the way. It should intensify a little bit overnight, then spread as a band towards the coast tomorrow, bringing more of that widespread but still mostly light rain totals. I'll be back soon with the full forecast.
Thanks, Tony. Coming up, the search for a dangerous arsonist on the Gold Coast. The moment a man deliberately sets a car on fire, sparking an inferno.
$50,000 for new home buyers, the bold plan to save the housing market.
Why explorers could soon cut into the wreckage of the Titanic for the first time.
And before weather, the cheap holidays on offer as Queenslanders start travelling again.
Seven News, brought to you by Aussie.
Home. It's not just a place we're stuck in. It's home-cooked meals, home workouts, homeschooling, working from home, home movie nights, and movie days. It's see you when I get home. Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
Oh my God. So I guess it's pretty obvious that I can't see. Music is my vision.
A voice so beautiful, it'll touch the world.
What you couldn't see was the whole of the Palladium on their feet.
Just wait till you hear her sing.
It was just brilliant. Oh, my heart is just melting.
It's a night full of surprises.
That one was close.
New Britain's Got Talent. Tonight, 7:30.
Jimmy's stores are open for business with the hottest deals in home entertainment. Like this Hisense 75-inch 4K Smart TV for $19.95. And stock up on movies and TV shows with buy one, get one free on Blu-ray and 4K. Buy in-store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JP, you've done it again.
Some modems emit Wi-Fi a bit like this. But a Telstra Smart Modem targets your device for faster Wi-Fi. Experience better Wi-Fi with Telstra.
With Toyota Warranty Advantage covering you for at least 5 years, still feeling it, Mick?
Toyota value stays with you, like Kluger 2-wheel drive GX Auto. Drive away from $41,990. Older feeling. Toyota.
Bye. Shut up and take my money.
Omtanke isn't just a word.
It's a new perspective, a considerate, more caring one. Omtanke, we welcome you to try it. Volvo.
Shut up and take my money.
With Belong, you get 10 gigs of mobile data for $25 a month. That's 10 gigs of family time, 10 gigs of scrolling through memory lane, 10 gigs of holiday escapes, or 10 gigs of catching up with the family. Plus, unlimited international calls and texts to selected countries for $5 extra. We all spend family time differently. Together, we're different. Belong.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
CCTV has captured a Gold Coast man deliberately setting a car on fire in Southport, sparking an inferno. On May 5, the man wearing a skeleton mask poured accelerant on the black Holden before it exploded. The offender fled the scene around 10:30 p.m. Police are urging any witnesses to come forward.
A $50,000 handout for buyers of new homes, axing stamp duty and an immigration push. They're just some of the measures being proposed to resuscitate our ailing housing market. The industry's warning it's vital, with construction halving and 500,000 jobs at risk.
In the face of a sudden dramatic slump in home building, the industry wants a backyard blitz like never before.
900,000 people work in construction directly. If this sector winds down, that's bad for everybody.
Included in the Property Council's plan, buyers of newly built homes would get $50,000 from the federal government. State stamp duty taxes would be axed. The GST widened to include fresh food, health and education, making up lost revenue. And a Welcome to Australia immigration campaign to drive growth. The industry predicts another 400,000 jobs could go by year's end, adding to the 100,000 already lost.
It's very important. We're in a very, very critical stage right now.
Taxes and charges currently account for up to 50% of a new home's cost. New home sales have fallen by 23% since the lockdown began. On top of that, nearly 1/3 of current projects have been cancelled. The lead time for this type of construction is typically 6 to 9 months, which means home builders will likely face a harder and longer climb back.
Many of the projects have been approved, ready to start. Some of them have had issues with the bank getting their approval to start construction. Others have lost their jobs.
The federal government says it's supporting the sector through JobKeeper and wage subsidies and is monitoring developments. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Johnson & Johnson will stop selling its talc-based baby powder in the US and Canada, saying more than 1,000 lawsuits alleging cancer risks, plus the coronavirus pandemic, have made the product no longer commercially viable. The baby powder will continue to be sold elsewhere, including Australia. Lawsuits allege the company's talc products have been contaminated with asbestos. Johnson & Johnson stands by the safety of its product.
For the first time since the Titanic sank, salvage teams have won permission to cut into the wreckage. A US judge ruled teams can go in to retrieve the Marconi radio, which the doomed ship used to call a nearby vessel for help. It requires them to remove part of the ship's deck to reach the room where it lies. Opponents say the Titanic should be preserved as a grave, but the judge says it's a unique opportunity to contribute to the ship's legacy.
For the first time in decades, there'll be no Ekka this year. Next, the push to change the public holiday. How Brisbane residents could score a long weekend.
Your first look at the Southeast's $65 million new water park.
In your suburb, the heartbeat returns to James and Caxton Streets.
And after sport, the short-term, high-paying positions in demand during the shutdown. We'll tell you who's hiring.
Cheap holidays, up to 50% off for that long-awaited break from June 13. The bargains and why you need to act now on 7 News, coming up.
David, I'm assigning you to the Home Secretary.
Very good, Mum. Pleasure to meet you, Mum.
I'm late for a meeting. She's got an agenda to heighten fear, to seize power. I don't need you to vote for me, only to protect me.
These plots do not always arise from outside.
She's got you wrapped around her finger. This is a very dangerous politician. There's been an inside man all along.
Looks like the Home Secretary couldn't be in safer hands.
The must-see event, Bodyguard, tonight on 7.
Hi everyone, Luke Mangan here, and from my kitchen to yours. We hope you're enjoying this week's Healthy Eating Challenge. My heart healthy dish from the Heart Foundation and Coles Cook with Heart Challenge is chicken parmigiana. This heart healthy recipe is really simple to prepare. It takes about 10 minutes preparation and about 30 minutes to cook, and it is delicious. All right, I'm gonna get some chicken breast, and we're just gonna cut these into about 4 pieces. Got a pan nice and hot. Now we're just gonna sear this chicken off. About 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Gonna set them aside on a plate, cover them with tin foil and let them rest. All right, so we just need 1 onion chopped or diced. 1 garlic clove, we're gonna crush that, and then, crushed or chopped. Finely dice this eggplant. I just love fresh tomatoes, and these are beautiful vine-ripened ones, and they're just gonna add some beautiful flavor. Just very roughly chopped tomatoes. When using fresh herbs, especially basil, I don't even mind if there's some stalk in there. Lots of flavor. About a cup of basil. So as this is a really heart-friendly dish, substitute fresh herbs, dried herbs and spices instead of using salt. And it smells absolutely beautiful. So we need about 3 cups of spinach leaves and 310 grams of roasted pepper strips. Just drain them off. Right. So same pan that we've cooked that chicken in, we're just gonna add the onions, garlic, the eggplant, and now I'll just add those peppers. It's gonna be a beautiful sauce. So that's now been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes. I'm just gonna add the fresh tomato and the tin tomato. So we're gonna cook this one out for about 4 or 5 minutes until it thickens up. I'm gonna add the spinach leaves and the basil, and that'll just wilt down. Then what I do, I put those little chicken cuts in a baking dish. I top that with all this beautiful heart healthy goodness and just spread that out. So we need 1/2 cup of reduced fat mozzarella cheese. And then, of course, some breadcrumbs just to finish it off. And then I'll put that into an oven, about 200 degrees. That's been in the oven for about 20 minutes and it looks great. I just want to finish that with a few green beans that I've just cooked in some water. And there you have my amazing heart healthy chicken parmigiana.
An extra long weekend in August, that's the possible upside from the cancellation of this year's Ekka. Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner and retailers are backing moves to shift the People's Day holiday from Wednesday to Friday.
This year's Ekka cancellation does not mean an end to the public holiday. Instead, the Lord Mayor wants it shifted from Wednesday, August 12 to Friday the 14th.
This is all about making sure that local people can get out and have a mini holiday, be a tourist in their own town, support local business.
Retailers labelling it a consolation for the loss of Ekka visitors.
Brisbane and our state had high hopes for that tourism dollar, so it's essential that tourism starts to move again.
Minister Grace is considering the request. Getting themselves out of the Ekka cancellation jam is the Country Women's Association.
You've got to think outside the square.
Putting their preserves online, a sellout in 2 days.
They just came in droves and it was wonderful that people supported us the way that they did.
Another batch is up for grabs on Monday. A donation from the sale of jams goes to the Public Rural Crisis Fund. That was set up in August 2018 to assist drought-stricken communities. Since then, $16 million has assisted 8,500 farmers. Beef farmers who normally show at Ekka have gone virtual. They will compete for some of the major awards via a live stream on August 5 from Gympie.
They not only love the competitions, but they love the results of the competitions because of their commercial relevance.
Ekka organisers are working on other popular events to be staged in some form in August. Steve Titmus, 7 News.
As the focus of governments around the world shifts to economic recovery, scientists are still striving to unravel mysteries about COVID-19. One British expert says the virus is so successful at spreading, it will never be eradicated.
Even as restrictions ease, our social behaviour remains under the microscope by scientists studying the impact it'll have on a virus they say is so transmissible it's almost uncontrollable.
We have to be clear that we're not going to be able to eradicate this virus. It's going to settle into the human population, and in so several years it will become a normal virus. So if anything, we're accommodating to it.
The virtual House of Lords committee meeting also heard there's no evidence to support a conspiracy theory backed by President Donald Trump about the virus being made in a Wuhan lab.
I don't think we're not clever enough to have designed this virus. It's far too unique.
Not as deadly as some, but described as deceitful due to the number of infected people who are asymptomatic. The World Health Organization believes in the hardest hit countries, around 20% of the population has coronavirus antibodies, far less in other places, meaning the majority of people remain susceptible to catching the virus.
Whether infection leads to long-term immunity, we actually don't know that yet, or immunity, or how long immunity might last.
Dismissing claims that megadoses of vitamin D can protect against it. In London, Sarah Greenolch, 7 News.
Developers have revealed the designs for a new $65 million water park and resort on the Sunshine Coast. The plans for the attraction at Glenview were first announced 4 years ago. The application is before Sunshine Coast Council. It's hoped construction will begin later this year. Now to our segment, In Your Suburb, The Recovery. And 6 weeks ago, the once bustling James Street felt like a ghost town. Now, customers are returning to the shopping strip, and it's not the only popular Brisbane street that's making a comeback.
It's the place to stay and to be seen. And soon you could be back at James Street's crown jewel.
We're looking at mid-July. By that stage, we'll be able to welcome local guests.
The lobby bar and spa remains open. The 5-star urban resort now working on guests returning to the hotel.
We will still, of course, be very mindful of restrictions and people's comfort levels, especially as they just start to kind of re-enter.
80% of retailers have now opened their doors. Foot traffic rapidly rising on the shopping strip.
The big message I think I have found reiterated many times is supporting local.
Last weekend, many stores reported some of their best figures for the year.
The car park had been empty for, 7 weeks and it was packed.
Same has been adapting with a customised takeaway menu. The eating hotspot now gearing up for dine-in customers next month, but with a difference.
Rather than be same, we'll be same but smaller.
But if James Street isn't your food type, Caxton Street is open for business. Pots and palmies are back on the menu at the Caxton Hotel. It's one of the first pubs in Brisbane to reopen today.
This is just a bit of a suck it and see, work out what we can do.
For now, it's 10 patrons per restaurant before the real rush is allowed back.
I'll be looking forward to that old Caxton, that animal when it comes back.
Brittany Lane, 7 News.
Queensland cinemas will be allowed to operate again soon, so why might we have to wait longer to catch a movie?
Midnight mayhem, homes torn to pieces as wild storms strike with no warning.
Arise, Sir Tom, Britain's favourite fundraiser, is given a new honour.
And why these lonely dolphins are bringing gifts from the sea.
He's visiting, but now he's found a reason to stay.
Do you always flirt with your brother's dates?
You want me?
Oh, yeah, more than you'll ever know. But let's be honest, you'll never know.
I'll leave you alone. Just say the word.
Home and Away, this week at 7 on 7.
Businesses are facing an overwhelming amount of information. Business Australia can help you get the answers to your toughest questions with our free business advice lines. Get the support you need at businessaustralia.com.
As this year continues to be a challenging one for all of us, NRMA Insurance remains dedicated to helping Australians. We've introduced a customer help program with a range of relief options to assist customers currently in need. If you're experiencing financial hardship, call us today to find out how we can tailor help options for you.
Mandarin, Mandarat, Mandarin,
Manda out. Easy to peel, fresh Aussie Imperial mandarins are now on sale. Aldi, good, different.
Hyundai's end of financial year sale is on. Get great value across our eye-catching range. Like the Hyundai i30 hatch with the confidence of a 7-year warranty. And end of financial year bonuses on selected SUVs, including the Hyundai Tucson. And 7-seat petrol V6 Hyundai Santa Fe. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Dad!
Sorry.
Just wait.
It's funny.
Dad!
Party pooper. Shh.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
Craig! You forgot your phone.
Melissa? Thank you. You okay?
Yeah.
It's a St George thing.
Why don't you come? Why don't you come? The pleasure's all mine, never getting old. If you're looking for me, I'll be dancing in my own way.
To finance, and despite a steep fall on opening, the Australian share market has fought back to reach a 10-week high. The ASX 200 added 13.5 points. Telco TPG added 29 cents after announcing a date for its merger with Vodafone Hutchison at the end of June. The Australian dollar is buying 65 US cents, 53 pence and $1.07 New Zealand. And petrol prices should keep falling over coming days. The average price of unleaded is $1.11 in Brisbane. The heartbroken parents of a catfishing victim say the woman who deceived their daughter is pure evil. Renee Marsden took her life after being tricked by a jealous former lover into a fake online relationship. The coroner recommended the case go to a review, which could make catfishing a crime.
A fake online lover has left Renee Marsden's family with a heartbreaking reality and a perpetrator who's never been charged.
Look, let me go on record as this. Pure evil would be about the best way to describe her.
20-year-old Renee took her own life in 2013 after her boyfriend of 2 years ended their relationship. But Braden Sprateri wasn't real. He was a fictional character created by her best friend and former obsessed girlfriend, Camilla Zyden. Under New South Wales law, creating a fake online persona or catfishing isn't illegal. So, for 7 years, Renee's family has been calling for major law reform.
And it's just a shame that she wasn't locked up over it.
Handing down her findings, Deputy State Coroner Elaine Truscott today gave them some hope, recommending an in-depth review into domestic and personal violence laws.
If it becomes Renee's law, that'd be fantastic.
Camilla Zyden refused to attend the inquest today, further infuriating Renee's family. The court heard Zyden's evidence was completely made up and she's never made any attempt to give Renee's loved ones the answers they're desperately seeking.
She hasn't gone in vain and I'll make sure of that.
Natasha Squarey, 7 News.
A storm described by locals as a tornado has hammered Geelong. It was quick but furious, tearing the roofs off homes and flattening fences. Trampolines and rubbish bins were no match for 100 km/h winds. It left a big clean-up and a large damage bill.
They're allowed to open in less than a month, but there's some bad news for film fanatics. Most cinemas won't reopen until Stage 3 restrictions in July. Aside from not being financially viable, there are no new movies to show.
First it was James Bond. Then Peter Rabbit.
Oh no, Cottontail just discovered sugar.
Mulan. A myriad of movies postponed. Now the next threat to cinemas skipping straight to streaming.
Ah, he's just
his legs!
We're just really hoping that distributors don't stick with that trend.
At movie theatres across the country, 1 to 4 films are released every week. Since restrictions, there'll be just one in July.
A film called Tenant, and we're hoping to get it on 70mm film.
Bottom line is there's really no product available that's new to be able to get people back here.
Cinemas are allowed to reopen for Stage 2. Most won't until Stage 3.
It's just not financially viable.
Tickets won't cover the cost of the aircon.
A tentative date is around mid-July.
When guests will be seated in alternate rows and asked to keep 2 spots between them and other patrons.
Lower the capacity, allocate seats.
It might take a while for blockbusters to return to the box office, but classics could be shown on the big screen so old-school cinema lovers can immerse themselves in a movie once again. A welcome escape in these times. Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
He went from captain to honorary colonel. Now Britain's favourite fundraiser will become Sir Tom Moore. The World War II veteran will be knighted after a special nomination from Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who says he provided the country with a beacon of light through the fog of coronavirus. Mr Moore raised more than $60 million doing laps of his garden in the lead-up to his 100th birthday.
Coming up, the industry's hiring and paying well as unemployment figures rise. And thinking about a getaway, the cheap holidays on offer as restrictions ease. But time now for sport and more trouble in the NRL, Webby.
Yeah, Sharyn. Hello, everyone. Ahead, police raids over betting on a Dally M result. Reaction to the stunning news that Greg Inglis's career isn't done yet. An exclusive, we're one-on-one with the world's best fast bowler.
Getting my house renovated is like a golden ticket to the rest of your life.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Right.
It'll be the Hampton-style home of her dreams.
This is a house of our dreams.
Oh my God.
Mom's dream home will be revealed. House Rules, Sunday at 7.
The streets are calling. Make sure you're ready to answer. The BMW 118i from 49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Telstra's smart modem is backed up by Australia's best 4G network. So if the connection to your house stops, your home Wi-Fi won't. Experience better Wi-Fi with Telstra.
The Beacon Frenzy sale is now on with 20% off all lights and fans. Update your home this winter and get 20% off every single light and fan this week only. Hurry, the Beacon Frenzy sale ends Sunday.
Hey, you there. Powerball has jackpotted to $8 million. Get moving. Grab your ticket now.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
A lot of us are spending more time at home.
Ow.
Using a lot more electricity and internet. Unfortunately, iSelect can't help with your naked partner walking past your big presentation. But we could help shrink those household bills. Now's the time to compare, select and save with iSelect on 13 19 20.
Unlike most modems, Telstra's smart modem is cleverly backed up by Australia's best 4G network. So if the connection to your house stops, your home Wi-Fi won't, giving you Australia's most reliable home Wi-Fi. To experience better Wi-Fi, visit telstra.com today.
The Beacon Frenzy sale is now on with 20% off all lights and fans. Update your home this winter and get 20% off every single light and fan this week only. Hurry, the Beacon Frenzy sale ends Sunday.
No matter how you care for them, take comfort that Huggies Ultra Dry Nappy Pants stretchy fit and instant absorption keeps your baby's skin dry and comfortable. Huggies. Be comfortable in your skin.
A titan of rugby league will return to the game that made him a superstar. Maroons legend Greg Inglis making a shock comeback for Warrington in Super League. But his one-year move to the cold of Northern England has a fellow great concerned for his mental health.
It's been a wild year already in rugby league. This overnight revelation, arguably the most shocking.
Delighted to announce that I'll be joining Warrington Wolves in season 2021.
13 months after quitting the sport, Inglis will lace his boots on the other side of the world for his 16th season.
He's had a break from the game. He's probably refreshed his appetite for the game.
The biggest Super League signing in years, he joins the club in December.
There was no medical issue. He was still fit to play. He just didn't have that hunger.
18 tries in 32 games for Queensland. 31 tries in 39 games for Australia. He brings high expectations. The man he's often compared to questions the comeback.
There's always that concern that injury-wise and mental health-wise that I hope it all does work out for him.
Renouf enjoyed 2 successful seasons for Wigan.
If he does go over there and is successful with his rugby league, he'll enjoy it immensely.
I think he's probably in a better frame of mind than he ever has been.
But the Pearl wonders if the greatest modern-day centre should be focusing on transitioning out of the spotlight.
Personally, I think he should concentrate on the rest of his career post-rugby league.
There's more scandal in the code, though. Detectives today raiding 3 Sydney properties in relation to a Dally M Coach of the Year betting plunge. An agency flagged concerns regarding punting on $7 outsider Craig Bellamy, who was a shock winner. And the Warriors have left Tamworth 2 heartwarming scenes. Chris Gary, 7 News.
The Lions' longest-serving player believes the AFL's strict isolation rules could help rather than hinder their premiership tilt when the comp reboots next month. In his 12th season at the Gabba, Daniel Riches embraced Brisbane's bonding sessions, the majority on the golf course. But that's now banned under new COVID protocols, raising fears the group won't be as tight.
It's probably going to make it go the other way. Guys come back together and there's just that extra bounce and buzz around the place because we haven't seen each other. It's like not seeing your brother or sister for 2 months and catching up with them.
The restart is 3 weeks tomorrow. Some EPL players are reluctant to resume training after 6 people from 3 different clubs tested positive for COVID-19 in league-wide testing over the last 2 days.
People suggesting we should go back to football and just like basically like with guinea pigs or lab rats.
We don't want to rush anything, but I don't think it's rushed.
Officials are hopeful the league can resume safely next month. Well, he's bowled more overs than any top-level cricketer in the past 12 months. Little wonder Pat Cummins is revelling in his extended break. Cummins has spoken to 7 News about what happens when cricket resumes and his multi-million-dollar IPL contract.
His career was all but over. Struck down by stress fractures in his back. It took him 5 years to play Test cricket again after his debut in 2011. Now the body is strong and his past 12 months has been nothing short of brilliant. But there's unfinished business for Pat Cummins.
You look at the real greats of the game, and they played for 15, 20 years. They played and won countless, Ashes series, World Cups.
Cummins is the game's pin-up boy. He plays in all forms of the game and has been a huge part of Australia becoming the #1 Test and 2020 side in the world.
Completely off guard because I didn't even know it was on the radar. Another great acknowledgement for the team, how far we've come in the last couple of years.
He's confident the Test series against India will proceed here next summer, even if it's played in empty stadiums.
It's just over 12 months ago that India came over to Australia and beat us here. So that's one that's really burning for me at the moment to play them again next summer.
The extended break has given Cummins time to rest and recharge the batteries. And he's also tried his hand at home renovations.
All DIY projects, which normally the first half of the day is doing the project, the second half of the day is trying to fix what I stuffed up.
Jim Wilson, 7 News.
Australian boxing's lost one of its greatest with the passing today of adopted Queenslander Hector Thompson. The Kempsey-born Hall of Famer had 87 pro fights over a decade, won 73 and captured Australian and Commonwealth titles. After retiring, he helped his son Anthony's career. Twice he fought for world titles.
This is round 1, the lightweight championship of the world. Hector Thompson coming out of the corner on the left.
He took the legendary Roberto Duran to 8 rounds before losing on TKO in Panama City. After a long battle with illness, Hector died this morning, aged 70. A great Australian. Sharyn, may he rest in peace.
Yeah, never good to lose a great. All right, thank you, Webby. With offices shut and thousands stood down, Australians have been looking for ways to turn their existing skills into regular income. It's seen a boom in workers offering services online to clients at home and across the globe.
Closed up inside, but open for business. A year ago, Max Wu traded the office for opportunity.
A lot of clients, a lot of different projects, and you get to work with people all over the world.
With more than 900,000 jobs lost in just 7 weeks, many Aussie workers are now joining Max Online, offering hundreds of different skills on websites like freelancer.com.
Number one, you've got people out of work looking for jobs. Number two, you've got businesses looking to find cheaper and faster and more efficient ways of doing things.
In high demand right now, coding, YouTube services and video game development. But there's also some more traditional fields shifting to the web in huge numbers. Demand for online legal services has jumped 17.5%. It's a similar story with architecture consulting. Home design, even voiceover artists have seen a surge in popularity.
This is the great global work online experiment.
And while some of us will return to the same office and job, a survey by ING suggests more than 3 million Australians are already considering a career change and learning new skills to help prepare.
Technical as well as personal.
The combination of the data and the digital with the human connection and the empathy that we think will be the workforce of the future.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
If you haven't already, it's time to start thinking about your next holiday. Why you have to move quickly to score the best deals when hotels reopen.
And a wet Thursday ahead, but how long will it last? I'll have the forecast coming up next.
The total picture, the full story, the answers you need. Every night, turn to 7 News at 6 o'clock.
Darkness and daylight, pleasure like a smile.
Experience the delicious intensity of Lindt Excellence. The finest dark chocolate crafted to perfection by the Lindt Master Chocolatier. Excellence from Lindt.
Save 20% on your second policy when you buy new eligible Suncorp home and car insurance together before July 10. Helping you save when you need it most. That's the Suncorp spirit.
If you're experiencing abuse or domestic violence, contact 1-800-RESPECT for free, confidential advice and counselling, online and by phone 24/7. There's no place for abuse or domestic violence. Help is here. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Wish you had internet that didn't let you down? That doesn't leave you hanging and won't have you missing any of the action? Get Vodafone NBN with 4G backup. Plans start from just $55 a month. And with free express delivery, connect instantly once you receive it. Buy online today at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
They can clear our nose and soothe our throat, but they will never relieve our cough.
No, Willie. Vicks Vapor Drops.
Willie, I'm in the middle of something here.
Willie! Vicks Vapor Drops plus cough can relieve our cough now. Move along. Nothing to see here. Vicks Vapor Drops plus cough.
Introducing new U-Foods grocery range. Get your week sorted with affordable, convenient groceries. Delivered safely to your door. Fresh, everyday items like poultry, meat, vegetables, dairy, and our delicious ready-made meals. Standing behind our local Aussie growers and helping you stay safe. We got you, Australia. youfoods.com.
Save 20% on your second policy when you buy new eligible Suncorp home and car insurance together before July 10. Helping you save when you need it most. That's the Suncorp spirit.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
He's visiting, but now he's found a reason to stay.
Beautiful day.
Yeah, that's Summer Bay for you.
Do you always flirt with your brother's dates?
You want me?
Oh, yeah, more than you'll ever know. But let's be honest, you'll never know.
Tane's using you to get back at me. This was a competition I've already won. I'll leave you alone. Just say the word.
Home and Away, this week at 7 on 7.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
Making news tonight, Queensland's Chief Health Officer is now predicting our border could stay shut beyond September. A Senate inquiry into domestic violence has finished 3 months early to the disappointment of Hannah Clark's family. SeaWorld had labelled a solo whale rescuer's actions as extremely dangerous as the man waits to find out if he'll be fined. And police will resume searching for an experienced bodyboarder who went missing at the Gold Coast Spit on the weekend.
After spending weeks at home, Queenslanders are counting down the days until they can travel again. And hotels hit hard by lockdowns are offering big discounts to get you in the car and travelling across the southeast.
At the Balinga Beach Motel, you get million-dollar views without the price tag.
You're right on the beach. There's no roads to cross, and it's at affordable prices for the times that are tough right now.
Debbie is one of thousands of accommodation providers slashing rates when restrictions lift on June 13.
Coming to the party with some really, I think, attractive prices that are going to stimulate travel and a lot of interest for locals to get out and explore their great state.
On the Sunshine Coast, the Caribbean Resort in Mooloolaba is offering 25% off all rooms. And Novotel Sunshine Beach Resort is giving an extra night free with some 2-night bookings.
From your beaches to your hinterland, the food, whether you surf, whether you fish, I mean, there's just something here for everybody.
While travellers to the Gold Coast can save 50% when they book a 3-night stay at Cube Broadbeach, 50% off at Artique's Surfers Paradise, and 40% off a 5-night package at Q1 Resort and Spa. And if you don't feel like driving, there are plenty of staycation deals. The Central Dockside Hotel here in Kangaroo Point is offering 36% off weekend apartment stays. But you need to be fast.
We know that the pricing is going to be very attractive, but the pricing won't last forever, so snap it up quickly.
As Queenslanders get ready to get away. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
Friendly dolphins that usually mingle with tourists at Tin Can Bay are missing their daily interactions so much they've started offering gifts from the sea. Among the treasures they're collecting, sea sponges, bottles and coral. While volunteers monitor the pod, because of COVID restrictions, it's been weeks since visitors lined up to feed the animals at Barnacles Cafe. Scores of people are promising via social media they'll visit as soon as they can.
Weather now, Tony, what's the latest on this rain?
Well, Max, we've seen at least a few drops over a huge part of Queensland in the past day, and it is all set to peak tomorrow. Now, across the southeast, showers have picked up this afternoon. They've spread into rain areas over the past couple of hours. The main focus has been north of Brisbane so far and up towards the Sunshine Coast, but that activity is slowly moving south, though weakening this evening. Temperature-wise, the cloud kept us a little bit warmer last night and a bit cooler today, 16 up to 23 degrees in Brisbane. Now, zooming out, we have a huge northwest cloud band stretching from past Indonesia across the Northern Territory and into Queensland. Light but widespread falls out west, with some spots recording well over 100 millimetres south of Cairns in the past day. Now, tomorrow, a cold front sweeps across New South Wales. It'll link up with our cloud band, so expect an increase in rain overnight. Then it pushes towards the coast as that band of rain late tomorrow. Around the capitals, cold air moves in behind that cold front down south. Showers and a top of just 13 degrees in Melbourne. Rain on the way for Sydney. Back to Queensland. Now, here is the forecast rain for tomorrow. It will be widespread, but as you keep on mentioning, mostly light. Expect 5 millimetres for most spots. A few areas in the south pushing over 10 millimetres, while the tropics will lead the way with plenty of areas over 50 millimetres. To the northern Queensland forecast, patchy rain at times in Mackay, more so passing showers in the morning for Cairns and Townsville, then a bit more continuous late in the day there. In the south, a similar story. Rain inland early, then peaking on the coast later into the afternoon and evening, a top of just 15 degrees in Toowoomba. Back to the southeast, we can also expect a cloudy Thursday ahead. Rain at times, mostly light, a bit of a peak in the afternoon and evening. Plan for less than 5 millimetres. Anything more is a bonus. Another mild night, but a cool day. We're looking at 15 up to a top of 21 degrees in Ferny Grove. If you're keen to take the boat out, amongst that rain, light and variable winds early, then they'll pick up out of the west late in the day. A bit of swell offshore too. So in Brisbane, 16 degrees tonight, not too chilly, then a cloudy top of 23. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a bit cooler. Some rain at times, most likely afternoon and evening. Your best bet for a dry break is early in the day. Now looking at the 7-day forecast into Friday, it all clears out pretty quickly, but then it cools down. We're looking at dry and breezy westerly winds returning, a top of 20 degrees. Similar in Ipswich, then that drops even more on Saturday. 19 degrees as another band of cloud sweeps across the region, but no rain this time. Gold Coasters staying dry after tomorrow's rain. 19 on Saturday, back up to 21 on Sunday as some sunshine returns. And on the Sunshine Coast, well, a similar pattern. The Saturday's top of 17 will feel much cooler thanks to some wind chill and also that cloud. It will be worth packing the extra layer amongst the brolly.
Will do. Thanks for that, Tony. And that's all from us this Wednesday. Thanks for your company.
Join Michael Archer for the latest from 7 News just after 11 tonight. And Sunrise is back in the morning from 5:30. But for now, from all the team, we hope you have a very good night.
Good night.